Well, the Ford Mustang turns 50 this year, but it's not the only American car having an anniversary. Georgia-based Panoz, maker of high-end performance cars, celebrating 25 years in the business this year. Joining us today, founder of Panoz, Don Panoz, also founder of DeltaWing Technologies, and Al Speyer, president and COO of DeltaWing Technologies.
Correct.
Thanks for dropping by. 25 years you've been making pretty awesome sports cars here. Low volume, high performance. You've got a very special 25th anniversary edition of your Esperante coming to customers soon.
That's right, we do. And we celebrated that last week. And 25 years has gone by just like that. We were the first to use the Superform aluminum bodies back in 1989. And extruded aluminum for chassis. And everybody's doing it now, but we've been doing it a long time. The cars, like you said, we don't make a lot of them, but they're great performers. They have a great record, and we're looking forward to the next 25, and we launched it with a new car, the Esperante Spider.
You've had a number of cars over the years, the Esperante. You've actually been making for a while now. Any major updates for this 25th anniversary version?
Well, as you can see, it's the Spider edition. You have to have a special top made for it if you want it, but that's up to the customer. It has anywhere from 400 horsepower to about 800 horsepower. The customer can select that. They can select their gearbox, the manual or automatic, and they want 6 speeds forward or 7 speeds forward. That part of it is all to the customer. We call it build your own Esperante, so they can really add all the finishing touches to it, including the leather interior or whatever.
$181,000 starting price on this,
That's
I think?
right, 181.
What's it like building low-volume cars in America these days? I know with all the regulations, it's not too easy to start or run a car company if you're not one of the big 3 or 4.
That's right, exactly. And we built cars up through 2006, and all of them at that time passed every federal standard, every federal test. We documented our build patterns. We documented quite well all the materials and the way the cars were assembled. And that kind of documentation with quality control gave us the confidence to go forward and restart producing new cars for the market starting this year.
Any new Panoz models in the works we're going to be hearing about soon?
Well, we have the Abruzzi, which is going to come back.
You are bringing that back?
Yeah, we had the original prototypes, as you saw, the Spirit of Le Mans, and we've changed that a little bit. We've moved the radiators back to the front, and we're going to offer the original Panoz GTR1 car, but that's an offer. We can probably make 4 or 5 of those a year, and it takes about 6 months to build them. The first Panoz GTR1s that raced at Le Mans, and then the regular Esperante and the Roadster.
Now, you've been in racing just as long as you've been in car building. You're one of the founders of the American Le Mans Series, which merged with Grand Am Racing last year. How do you think that's been working out for sports car racing in America? Things starting to work well with the two groups?
Yeah, I think so. And what we can tell from that is that if we looked at Daytona, Daytona had by 30% the largest crowd they ever had. So certainly you had the fans from the Grand Am, and you had the fans from the American Le Mans Series. They seemed to get along and get together. We had a record crowd, up 10% at Sebring this year, over a record crowd of last year. And the teams are from different environments, from Grand Am and the LMS, but they're starting to work together. It's also putting together the rules and getting those things sorted out. There's different types of cars when you compare the Daytona prototype and the LMP2 cars or Le Mans prototypes. But I think they're getting it together. They're making a great effort for it. And I think the fans, with their feet, are saying, this is what we want to see. One good sports car series with good competition.
And what do you think that sports car series should be? Should they be creating a distinctive American style of sports car racing, or something that's, works well with the other series around the world?
No, I think it will be. I think it will stay more with the American tradition. But of course, we infused in that the Le Mans tradition, which is trying to keep the rules stable, having different classes of cars racing, going now more to in the races with Watkins Glen, more endurance races, and no, I think the American flavor is going to be the thing that kind of endures, but we'll have that flavor of Le Mans and the excitement of mixed classes of cars racing.
Now, you're not involved in the series itself anymore, but you're still involved in the racing in the series through DeltaWing Technologies. This is a very radical, lightweight, needle nose, arrow-shaped, however you want to describe it, race car. Tell us how that's developed over the last few years when we first saw it show up at Le Mans.
Okay, just quick.
Sure.
I'm still vice chairman.
But, well, of course.
Of the United Sports Car Racing.
Sold the company, but vice chairman. Okay, great.
No, the DeltaWing is when you look at it, it just catches your breath. And we've noticed that wherever it's been, it catches the breath of the spectators and the fans, and particularly the younger crowd. They really come and they love this car. And, everybody said, because it's so different than tradition, that it was going to fly, it wouldn't corner, and we've proven that it doesn't fly and it does corner. And the real thing about this car, and looking at where our challenges are in the future, is that it proves that technology can win a race, not just necessarily horsepower. So when you think of half the weight, half the horsepower, half the fuel, and yet at Daytona and Sebring we're running within a second of the leaders all the time, the difference is that maybe they have to stop at 23 laps, we stop at 26. So technology, in the case of the DeltaWing, is what can win the races. It's no big deal to add another 50 horsepower. We can do that. But the point is that this design and efficient use of lightweight materials and low horsepower and low fuel consumption can actually win races, and that's the point.
Now, you guys are running this car, but I think you've also looking to kind of build a business around it as well. Is this something you want to sell to other teams, have them run versions of it also?
We'd like to see more cars out there, and we're working on that. And it's a transition for us from our team to getting some other teams involved, and we've got a lot of interest there, that's for sure. But in a bigger picture, we're working on a road car as well for DeltaWing, because all of the attributes we talk about here, and I like to call it a finesse car. It's not a brute force car with more horsepower, and it's got some very, very clever engineering that's gone into it to where you put it all together, it handles as good, if not better, than all of the race cars out there. And all of that can be transferred to a street car that consumers can drive every day on the street, and again, be more efficient use of energy and still a really hot car to drive.
How close to the design of the race car will the street car be? I mean, just completely different, but with the same concepts, or is it going to look kind of wild like this?
It's halfway in between. I'd say it's not quite as radical as the race car is right now. And we're working with other partners, looking for other partners, and that final design will depend somewhat on where they see it going. But it shares the narrow front end. The narrow front end is very important to reduce the aerodynamic drag, which helps save fuel. The lightweight has to be definitely one of the parameters throughout the car. It helps us with our handling and the overall packaging in the car. And of course, a much smaller, more efficient engine to drive the whole package, which to the consumer, they spend less on fuel. And whether it's an internal combustion engine, gasoline, diesel, whether it's an electric car, whether it's a hybrid, all of those power plants, natural gas as a fuel, all of that can go into a DeltaWing platform and be even more efficient than it is in a standard car.
Is this something you'd like to do at a higher volume, lower price than the cars you've traditionally built, or would this still be pretty exotic?
Well, we'll not try to market this as a Panoz. This is technology, I think, that needs to be shared in a bigger arena. So we'll be looking to license and work with OEMs, and there's a lot of OEMs around the world. But if you can imagine this, we're talking about a GT car that could compete with Porsche and Ferrari, Aston Martin. It'll be 35% lighter, and in a road car you need more stuff in it. 35% lighter, 35% less horsepower, 35% less fuel, but yet it could be competitive. On the road car side, for a family, 4-passenger, we're talking about 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. We're talking 130 miles top speed, and our goal is 71 miles per gallon.
And pure sports car, is it going to have some functionality to it as well? And you mentioned 4 passengers, but what's it going to be laid out?
Well, there's 2. It's GT and a 4-passenger. There's 2 cars. One's sports and one's a family salon.
If someone writes the check tomorrow, I mean, how quick do you think you guys could see this on the road?
Well, we're pretty well through the design process. All the drawings, the space, the packaging, to accommodate in a car with this unusual shape, air conditioning, windscreen wipers, all of that, that's all been done. We're looking for the right partner. They have to finish the outer design, and the internal part is finished. I'd say it's 95% finished.
Well, I think I'm going to have to ask you to slip me a picture of one of these once we're off camera, because I'm dying to see what this looks like.
I promise you can see it.
I can't wait to see what this looks like.
And you'll see the packaging of it, too.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be more, just because of the popular success of the DeltaWing, there'll be more radical designs in Tudor Sports Car Championship? Is that something that's going to be happening, or do you think some of the companies are just too conservative to take chances like that?
Well, you're always battling against the old standard and what people feel comfortable with. But we all know that progress, this is not racing into the future, this is racing the future. And that's what DeltaWing's all about. We're here now. We're not looking at it over the hill. We know this car runs, we know it can corner, we know it doesn't fly, we know it can get twice the fuel economy. We know it can be competitive at half the horsepower. So that's all there. Now the future is to convert this into things that people can appreciate on a daily basis.
All right, Don Panoz, Al Speyer, Panoz and DeltaWing Technologies, thanks so much for dropping by. Head on over to foxcarreport.com. You can read more about the DeltaWing racer there. It really is an excellent car, and we'll see you next time.